investor interest in government treasuries continued to reach record highs as total base standard exceeded the target by over 144%. That's according to auction results by the Bank of Ghana. Meanwhile, interest rates tumbled across the yield curve. Mark Jordan Sikanate is Senior Associate Research at Lawrence Africa Securities. He joins me on Zoom. So last week's Treasury bill auction was oversubscribed by 144%. What is your reading of this strong demand?
Thank you for having me. Yes, so like you mentioned last week, we saw an oversubscription in government Treasury bill auction. I think it's about the 10th in a row. And if you check the trend, which also explains why we are seeing the robust demand on Treasury bill. You recall that prior to the MPC sitting in November 2025, government was recording, significant undersubscriptions and also missing targets in most of its Treasury bill auction. And one of the reasons we were stating from our side was the fact that other money market securities like the OMO bills were presenting quite, impressive opportunities to investors. That's why we're seeing funds channel towards those sides. I think the narrative has changed since then. In the past 10 weeks, we've had like 2 MPC sittings. Monetary policy rate has cumulatively declined by about 600 basis points from 21% as of November to 15%, 15.5% as of now. Now, with these dynamics in play, you've also seen considerable decline on interest rates on the OMO bills, which is sold by the B. And as such, we are seeing a cautious play by investment, shifting capital from those other money market funds into the Treasury bills. And particularly, even with the Treasury bills, when you check, you realize that they are still around the 10 years with high rates, and that is the 364 day bill, which continue to attract over 40% of investor demand.
As we've seen yields on the T-bill curve fall sharply, what should investors expect in the coming weeks?
Okay. So what we expect what we think investor positioning should be in the coming week is a cautious bidding dynamics. One, because liquidity levels are high in the market, and then from the Treasury perspective, they kind of have an ample hand going into auctions. Two is also the fact that their demand is beginning to slow. Remember, we mentioned that we see considerable maturities in Q1. They are beginning to have high liquidity levels to back this liquidity demand from their side. And also, lastly, is about the fact that we just saw a 250 bips decline on monetary policy rates to 15.5%. And currently, OMO bills are around 11.5% as per results shown in the last OMO bill auction last week. This places Treasury bill securities favorably above these OMO bills, especially the 364-day bill. And so investors who encourage that investors, who caution that investors, bid consciously when they are going into Treasury bill auctions. Because when you watch from the past 2 auctions, last 2 weeks, government rejected over 3 billion. Last week, it rejected slightly over 4 billion. That tells you that gradually it is strengthening its grip, and then it's going to take advantage of the 50 basis points in OMO yield to also trim its borrowing cost. Yeah.
And I guess with the interest rates tumbling, we're beginning to see the effects of the policy rate cut, right?
Yes, we are beginning to see it. 37 bips drop on the 91-day, and 28 for the 182, and then 24 for the 364, all in last week's, just in a single auction. Also, when you check from the auction, you saw that the higher band of interest rates also declined considerably. we expect the narrative to continue going into the coming weeks, and it could even be more louder because we expect liquidity levels to continue to shore up. Remember, government will be heading into coupon payment of over 6 billion in the month of February. We are not far from this payment date. So you could see ample, increase in liquidity levels in the market, and then opportunities are quite, skewed towards the short end, especially the Treasury bill side still. So these funds will still be flowing towards those end of the market. So with all these factors at play, we will likely see the impact of the 250 basis drop in monetary policy rate in government's borrowing cost as well.
Yeah, and so with the upcoming Treasury bill auction, we understand there's a reduced offer target. So what strategies would you recommend for investors who are seeking to navigate the primary and secondary markets in the near term?
I think, like I've been mentioning, right, with the reduced target and also elevated liquidity levels in the market, it clearly points out to the fact that the narrative actually favors the Treasury, with slightly around 5 billion targets, with also liquidity levels coming considerably above like 10 billion for some weeks now. You can tell that these liquidity levels can easily absorb government targets, and as such, you want to position yourself consciously as an investor when you are bidding, so that your bids are not rejected in this auction. Otherwise, when they are rejected, you find yourself going to search in the secondary market, and also that comes at another punitive price.
Yeah, let's switch topics. Let's talk about the stock market. Yet another week of a strong finish. Talk to us about that and what we expect this week.
Yeah, so it was a great week last week for investors on the equities market. We saw considerable rebound in Cowbank, and I think notably the stock has taken the lead in the double-digit year-to-date gain with over 25% year-to-date gain. We've seen increasing bidding activity around the counter. I think for our outlook for this week, we expect the stock to climb further in sessions in this week. We're also seeing considerable bidding activity around stocks like MTN and also GCB, which could suggest some increase in price in the course of the week. I think we also see some activity around EGL, and I think it's situated around the conversations we're having with your earlier guests, which could, have some improvement to the earning prospects of insurance counters. So we're seeing some activity around enterprise group as well, which could be positive for price in the coming sessions.
All right. Thanks for the update. Very useful. Mark Jordan Skanate, Senior Associate Research at Loris Africa Securities. Thank you.